you've nursed the chocobo back to health, why not take him for a ride? You can explore the wildlands together.
The only way to reach the wasteland to the north, the old recluse lives beyond.
Expected as much. That's very interesting looking fruit growing over there. I'd like to go and pick some for myself, but I don't see any way to get up this cliff.
Another disaster! What goes on in those tiny heads of theirs?
Sounds like you have more sheep.
I'd say I do! The fuzzy sheep have affected a...
Doctor, you must calm down.
What? Oh, sorry.
They could hear you back in Luxarian, I'd say.
Oh, it's just I'm... this young lady is Millie, a good friend of mine.
Nothing. It's just that
You do? Pray?
last night I heard... I couldn't tell what it was, but I'm thinking it must have put the sheep into a... Maybe it was some kind of monster.
I see. So the sheep were terrorized by the occurrences of the night. Well, that certainly would explain their... It is near impossible to herd a whole flock of panic. The only thing that could drive them back is something bigger and scarier than what they saw in the night. Something like a chocobo. Approach the sheep on your chocobo, and you can make...
Oh, I do hope you find the sheep.
Ah, mademoiselle. I consider myself an expert in the culinary arts, that's cooking food. My master taught me his greatest recipes, but together we... Now the world stands on the edge of destruction.
I'd like to help, but about the only dish I can cook is behemoth,
What I need is much simpler than that. I require only a few small...
which you can't find.
Exactement. It's...
All right, if I find it.
Mademoiselle, merci. With those ingredients, I'll once again be able to craft... Welcome. I am lacking some key ingredient. See this list? This... Again, I cannot think...
still blooming here. What is it? You're getting better. Good.
I'm glad you could help the Chocobo. Well done, Light. So, what do you say? Why don't you saddle up and head for Rocky Crag?
Right. I need to know more about what's behind the story of the Great Chaos.
In the foothills near the temple is an isolated settlement called Polta. It's inhabited by disciples of the goddess.
A whole village of heretics who've turned their...
Heretics they may be, but they aren't fanatics. They fled from persecution in the city. They only...
Then, I don't think they'll appreciate a stranger dropping by.
Well, you won't know until you go. Light, I've been measuring your Chocobo's recovery. He's coming along well. He can leap further and higher than before. This means you'll be able to explore more areas of the wildlands. The Chocobo can now catch the wind when he jumps. You'll be able to reach more places than you could before. I think if his recovery continues, he'll be able to take you up that cliff and into the Temple of the Goddess.
Some sheep ran that away.
Words are not enough to express the depth of...
Don't lose him again.
Indeed, that mystery remains unsolved. Millie suggested that a monster put a scare into them. She's nowhere to be seen.
Things to do, maybe?
Yes, perhaps, but I'm a bit worried.
If I see her.
I'd be grateful if you... Ah, I almost forgot the most important thing of all.
Hey, Light.
Have you met a woman named... We are rivals. Anyway, there is something... If you meet her, will you tell her...
was I thinking? I'm a fool.
What are you talking about?
Well... All right, I'll confess. It was me who did it. There was no monster. There never was. In the dead of night, I saddled up a...
And that's what panicked the sheep? But...
Well, it's complicated.
So that's what this has been all about. Wouldn't it have been easier to...
He's been excited ever since he heard about your arrival in the Wildlands. But he's terribly shy, the doctor. He'd never be able to just approach a stranger. Not in normal circumstances, it just wasn't going to happen. I had to make him desperate enough that then he'd have to...
So you chased away. That threw the doctor into a total panic. You think...
It does sound crazy looking back. Except that since then, the sheep have been any little thing is enough to set them off stampede.
Cannot be good for...
I know, I feel terrible about the whole thing. All I wanted to do was help. Not to mention years of research on...
If you're really sorry, you should tell...
No, I couldn't.
If you don't, he's gonna keep worrying about what's scared... You care for each other, don't you?
Care for each other? What do you mean? That is to say...
You said it yourself. He's a very shy man, but he talks to you. Seems to me he thinks of you as something more than just a... Just talk to him. He'll understand.
All right, I will. Thank you so much. You've been so kind.
This is an area of twisted rock formations. The bare cliffs stretch for miles around. You'll need the help of a chocobo if you want to get anywhere in this terrain. Strange to say, but
We can do this. Let's make a show of it. Our tears fall into the chaos. Ever dance with swords? Pray for the dead. Let's make a show of it. It's just a You can't read me. Guess it comes to this. Let's make a show of it. Let's start a stampede. Our tears fall into the chaos. Time for this. Let the darkness release you. Go and wait for a new dawn.
Somewhere in this area stands a remote village, which is inhabited by followers of Etro. They were run out of the cities for being heretics.
I can't take this curse anymore.
He said something about Cardesia. That sounds like a woman's name.
I can't take this.
Cardesia. I know her.
We have much...
goddess Etro. May you bring us true peace and war.
Tell me, do you know of the Grail of Valhalla? It is a
And why are you asking me?
Because I sense that you may have been touched by the chaos. It is filled with a divine grace.
Vessel. So, this grail, is it like...
No one has laid eyes upon it. But if you are in, then the angel will take you to the temple.
We are not fanatics. We only wish to return to a natural way of life.
Tell me, traveler, everyone who lives in this village worships the goddess Etro. One day we shall leave our corporeal bodies and be summoned. We have not always lived here. But then, as now, the Order rule their almighty Benevelza should be worshipped above. Some of my brothers and sisters took up arms and fought back against the Order.
This village stands. Only the Chosen One has the power to cross over to the Temple of...
The winds that howl around Polta wear down everything that stands before. These patterns on the rock, to me, they look like ancient writing. Inside that temple, there should be other writings. Or so I believe. But none of us can enter the temple, so I stand here instead to watch over the...
We worship the goddess Etro, just as our brothers and sisters do in the cities.
Are you a pilgrim here? Many adventurers chose to ignore the legend. They...
I accept all that happens to me. Destruction will be the final mercy.
Could that be? I am one of the believers, awaiting the... That creature with feathers of white will lead you toward your death. Now is the time. You must make your way to the temple.
The chocobo is fully recovered from his wound.
I am one of the believers. That creature. Now is the time.
To reach the temple, you have to follow the route from Polta as far as you can. Then the Angel of Valhalla will fly you the rest of the way.
Look.
Your mission was to bring me here. From here on in, I go it alone. What happened?
The temple of the goddess. It was not originally a part of this world, but legends tell us that the great chaos, it would most likely refer to the power